How's it on YouTube? Peter here, your Ginger Geordie Geek. Welcome back to the channel for another episode of This Is My. And tonight we've got an interesting one for you. We've got a gentleman who is a bit of a Thor fan like myself. So I'm looking forward to getting stuck in and learning all about his love for the God of Thunder. So without further ado, let's welcome Luke to the show. Luke, how are you, sir?
Good evening, Peter. Thank you very much for having me. It's lovely to kind of speak to you in the person rather than in the digital typing way, shall we say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm very good, mate. I'm very good. I'm excited to talk to you tonight because I've been a follower of your Instagram channel, Luke and Thor Comics, for a good while now, because I'm sure you'll know I am a massive Thor fan, and you predominantly post stuff about Thor. So I'm hoping we're going to get to see some of your Thor collectibles tonight and learn a little bit more about him. So yeah, lovely to have you on the show. Before we get into the nitty gritty, just a quick hello to a few people. We've got Dead Man. Nice to see you. Oh, Dead Man's changed his title. Dead Man Comic Cover Show. Good stuff, Dead Man. Dead Man has just started his YouTube journey. Me and Luke were talking beforehand about starting YouTube channel. So Dead Man, so pleased for you to have kicked that off. Go check out his channel because it is very, very cool. We've got Fuzzy, excuse me, Fuzzy of the Dunlop, Brothers of Asgard, greeting from Fuzzyville. Always good to see you, Fuzzy. I hope you're well. We've got James from MJ Comics. Nice to see you, bud. Fuzzy, who knew whether? Wow, how dare you, Fuzzy? How dare you? Outrageous stuff. And we've got Phil from Rogue One Photography. Nice to see you, Phil. I hope you are good, bud. Okay, Luke, let's get stuck in because we've got lots to get through tonight. Nice to see you, Andy. Thank you very much for joining. We've got lots to get through, and like I say, you are a Thor fan, so I'm hoping we're going to get to learn a little bit more about that. But we'll start you off with a nice, easy, straightforward question. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and tell us what got you into collecting comic books and Thor in particular.
Of course. I live on the kind of southish coast of England, so near Brighton and actually kind of near Ashdown Forest area. So lovely and nice to live in the countryside. I tried living in the city. Too busy for me. So I moved outside. I have a wife, 2 dogs, and a child. And I've been we've been living down in the southeast for probably about 8 years now. But we were living just kind of just south of London area.
Okay.
But my kind of love for comics kind of started quite a long time ago, but mainly because I was a terrible reader.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I was diagnosed with kind of dyslexia. So it was kind of a difficult one for me to read in a constant format. So actually, I really enjoyed looking at pictures and actually kind of following stuff through in kind of the comic book format. And it really helped me as a child to read stuff. And it took me a long time to read a full book until I was probably about good 17, 18 to be able to read a full book. And it was actually The Road, which was the first book I ever read. And I kind of was reading comics, and mainly X-Men comics, in probably the late 90s for a bit. And then I completely stopped and only really got back into it, should we say, reading comics about 8 to 10 years ago, roughly. And it was actually because of my wife. We started watching, she was watching The Walking Dead all the time. And I was like, what's this weird show you're watching? And I think it was like series 3 when I started picking it up. And then I found out it was a comic book series. So I thought, I'll give that a read. And then I kind of pretty much read it all the way through. And it was one of my favorite comic series around. And it is slightly different to the show. You know, people die at different stages, and it's way more gruesome. But it's one of my kind of favorites.
It's interesting. I love the show. I haven't watched any of the more recent ones. I love the show, but I've never read the book. It's something I'm going to have to go back and do at some point, I think.
Yeah, it's really good, especially the first kind of, the governor's a horrible man. horrible man in it. Way worse than in the TV
Really?
show. Yeah,
Okay.
horrible. So yeah, no, that's kind of how I kind of got into it. And then I actually was on holiday. My we were kind of mentioning before, I'm very, very lucky that my wife works for an airline. I won't say which one, but you can obviously, there's plenty of them available.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very lucky because obviously we can get flights to different parts of the world very cheap, and mainly America, to be honest with you. So her choice of going anywhere is always Florida, which normally means Disney. So I have a lot of Disney paraphernalia, shall we say. I've even got all the Disney books, comic books, variants at the moment, which is, I've kind of gone down a garden path with that one. But when we were on holiday, there was an event on in Orlando called MegaCon.
Yeah.
And I'd never been to a comic convention or anything in my whole life. And I thought to myself, I've got to give it a go. And America is the best place to do it because it will just be, all show, big razzmatazz, all that kind of stuff. So bought a ticket for I think it was the Sunday, and it was completely mad. I mean, it was like assault of the senses. Me and my wife got in and walked in there and were like, what on earth are we into now? But it was absolutely amazing at the same time. And it was it was a mashup between, anime, selling costumes, a bit of Star Wars, comics, everything. And then I actually found a couple of Thor comics. And that kind of started to kind of get me involved into it. So that's kind of how I ventured into the world of comics.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm jealous already because I've never done an American con. I'm desperate to do a big American con. But I'm interested, Luke, in one of the things you said at the start there, because we've talked about it before on this channel. And it's something I strongly believe that comic books can be such a powerful tool and weapon at schools to help people get into reading and to start breaking that kind of that challenge that some kids have in terms of picking up, like you say, a full book, So I think it's great. It's great to push them at school, I think, to be honest. Just gonna quickly jump into the chat. Fuzzy, if Luke enjoyed Love and Thunder, I'm gonna have to unsubscribe. Just putting it out there. I mean, Fuzzy's not wrong. We'll maybe talk about the movies later on. Big Chris Helmsworth fan. I hated Love and Thunder. Hated it.
You might. No. I'll probably leave that comment till the end.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got Rogue One saying loving the Hulk. Yeah, the combo behind us, the Hulkbuster with little Thor's helmet on there. Thank you very much. We've got Jack. Nice to see you, Jack. I hope you're well, bud. Always good to see you. MJ, I'm desperate to go to a Comic Con in the US. We're talking about San Diego in 2 years' time, James. Myself and James going to see Efren. So yeah, hit what up. We'll make it happen because that'll be cool.
Nice.
Okay, Luke, we're going to swap sides and I'm going to ask you to show us something from your collection. What have you brought to show it tonight?
Oh, I've got a lot.
Right, good.
I'm actually in my office at the moment, so I've put all of my comics around me. But I think the first one, which I'll have to start with, is probably one of my first bigger purchases. And I absolutely just love the cover, and I have to go with it's quite a big one to start with, and that's going to be really irritating. Hope you see it. There you go.
No, it's perfect. Yep, I love that cover.
Yeah, and it has to be one of my favorite all-time covers by anything. To be honest with you, on any kind of comic book. To be fair, I probably bought it about 3 years ago, and I actually bought it as a PGX.
All right. Yeah.
And I spoke to loads of different people about PGX because I was at the time all I bought was Raw comics. I didn't buy anything else. I just bought PG. Just bought. This was the first one I actually bought as a kind of slab. And somebody was like, "Look, you've got to make sure you get it for 30% of the price of what actually they're putting out, and kind of down it from what you see in in the kind of market area. So yeah, it's one of my absolute favorites. I would like to get a bit better, should we say, a better quality one in time. Some of yours, if you kind of start to follow me on Instagram, I am now pretty much just starting to upgrade all of my kind of books from the Jim range, so Journey into Mystery range. I still need a few big ones, and which you have one in the background there. But I'm going to be, and it's the main one, but I'm going to be kind of working my way through that one.
Pricey now. Look, some of these books I got Jim 85 First Loki, maybe it's about 3 years ago, and I sold it when the Loki TV show came out because it just went mad in value, and I've regretted it ever since. You know, I wish I hadn't let go of it now, because I can't really justify picking it back up again. You know, but that book you've just showed, well, look. Am I spotting another one behind you on the shelf as well? Is that 2 copies you've got?
So I had my wife got me this for Christmas.
Oh, it's a Funko Pop.
Yeah.
Oh. Actually, I quite like that.
I think it's great. But I saw your face there. You were not.
I'm not a Funko man, but actually that's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, and I did. I actually did. Display. I kind of change my display all the time so that I can kind of just keep looking at different books. But I basically had them side by side. Does
that Funko come in the plastic case that you've got it in there? Or is that something separate you've had to buy?
No, it comes like this, and it comes with a border, like a kind of cardboardy border around it. But I just removed that, kept it in the cupboard over there, so that then I can see the whole of it. But I've kept the plastic on, which is wonderful. Yeah. But there's a really nice one. Yeah.
Well, I'm hitting eBay as soon as we're finished. Fuzzy's saying Comic-Con might be leaving San Diego in 2 years. It's becoming too expensive. Oh, wow, Fuzzy. That'd be massive if that happens. Not heard that, mate. That'd be pretty... everyone will be devastated. Okay, Luke. Next hard question for you then. All right? Hard question. What's your favourite movie? If you could pick one film only to watch on repeat from now on, which one's it going to be?
So I've watched your
don't say Love and Thunder. Don't say Love and Thunder. It'll riot in the chat. Honestly,
no. We'll leave it there. But I've watched your This Is My on all of your videos, and I kind of thought about this, and I've loads of people, and I'm equally so to say. There's so many amazing films out there. I mean, if you really want to go for like absolute best film, you probably say Shawshank Redemption as the best film you're probably around, but that's not what I'm going to go for. I mean, from a as a child, and I thought about this the other day, and I completely forgot, but around my birthday, Jurassic Park was released. I think it was released on June 12th, and my birthday is the 11th. So it was I actually got taken to the cinema as a kid for my birthday. And then I realized I was 8. So obviously my dad was nice and really, I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was a 12, or I don't think it was a PG. But sure. I have this image that's etched on my brain of the Velociraptor when they're in the tunnels and they kind of and he jumps out. Yeah. That is probably one of my absolute kind of moments I'll never ever forget. But I will have to also shout out to, not necessarily it's a film, but kind of a bit of a series. And I love if there's some kind of, should we say, some semi-middle-aged men in this chat to also see if you like this as well. But Sharp. I'm
Sharpie, yeah.
Massive Sharp fan.
Sean Bean.
Absolutely. Yeah. All day, every day. So I could watch Sharp all day. I'd happily watch it on Christmas Day. I try and get up at 5 on Christmas Day to watch Sharp's Waterloo, Sharp's Siege, or Sharp's Company.
Hey, I haven't seen Sharp for years. I mean, that used to be regular viewing with my dad. Do you know? Because my dad loved it. And what was the other one with Ian Gruffalo? Is it Homeblower?
Yeah, Homeblower.
Yeah, we used to watch Homeblower as well. That's a great pick, mate. That's a series I haven't seen in years. So yeah. And in terms of Jurassic Park, I love it when it's not just a choice because it's a nice film. It's got some memory there for you as well, you know. And I think Jurassic Park is just one of those films that the first time if you're lucky enough to see it back in the day, before, dare I say, CGI and special effects became commonplace, it really was kind of breathtaking. You know, that initial scene where they turn and see the dinosaurs roaming, it's just phenomenal, you know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or when the T-Rex stands in the shit, that's amazing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you a fan of the more modern versions? Have you seen some of the newer ones?
Yeah, not so much. I will always watch them just because it's Jurassic Park, but you know, even the second one was not so good. The third one's quite good. I have to say the third one's quite good. The second one's not so much, but every year I'll always watch Jurassic Park once. The other one which I had to add, I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure I didn't forget it because it is a classic and I will always come back to it, is the 13th Warrior.
Oh yeah, Antonio Banderas, is that on? Yeah.
And I love accidentally coming across that on like Sky Movies or a random streaming channel, and you come across it and you're like, that's an amazing film, I'm going to watch that.
Yeah.
Love it. So that's another topic.
Good picks there, Luke. Good picks. Was he saying must be a thing about Luke's in Jurassic Park? That's because our good pal Luke over at Hydra Collectibles is obsessed with Jurassic Park. But yeah, great movie. I'm sure this chat is full of middle-aged men. I think you're doing me a favour calling me middle-aged, James. I have to say, I don't think I've been middle-aged for a long time. Sean Bean, Yorkshire Swayze.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And apparently, from what, you know, you hear these things, but apparently you're a really nice guy in like real life. You know, very good with the fans and things like that from what I've heard. Does Sean Bean die in that too?
Absolutely not.
No,
absolutely not.
Yeah,
he'll never die. He almost dies about 5 times, but
yeah,
no,
per episode. Yeah, but he gets better. He brushes it off, man. He's a hard lad. You should read Red Coat. He's quite sharp, like, but he's immortal. Yeah, it's a great series. I don't know if you've seen that one, Luke. Red Coat.
I actually, I went to the same MegaCon this year. They were releasing it then.
All right.
And at the MegaCon with the whole big, what's the
ghost thing or something? Is it ghost?
Ghost machine.
Ghost machine. Yeah.
And I was really annoyed that I didn't pick that up. And equally, I'm really annoyed I hadn't picked Rook up at the moment.
It's very good
because I can't find it anywhere, and I've got 1 and 3. So I can't get 2 at the moment. It's almost impossible to get 2. So, and I read 1 and I was just absolutely loved it. So I'm really annoyed I can't get 2 at the moment. But yeah, I'll find it.
Very good series. Very, very good series. Okay, Luke, show us something else from your collection. What else have you got there?
Right. We'll go a little bit left field. So yes, I collect Thor. Also slightly obsessed with Invincible, and mainly not because I first read it, but because I actually watched it on Amazon and on Amazon Prime, and then I realized it was such a good show, and then I found out it was a comic book series, so I then started to buy all of the trade paperbacks. And it's easily, for me, probably the best comic book series I've ever read. And even towards the end, like there's some absolutely like moments where I was like lying in bed and I go, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. Moments. And which then kind of has created one of my kind of slight obsessions with Battle Beast. So I've got I've got one of them here, but I actually have 3, and this is the only. This is the first. If you guys don't know, this is the first appearance of Battle Beast in Invincible 19, but it's probably my only really, should we say, true hoarding of one book. And I just absolutely love the series and the character so much. I've got that, but I've also got, which I have to show you this one. Because it's one of absolute classic covers, but and which I obviously have 2. So,
Very
um,
nice.
but those are some of my. I mean, if you haven't read the series, please go and read it. Or I mean, don't wait for Amazon to create it. The series as a comic book series is unbelievable. Controversial moments in it, you could say, but
Yeah.
actually very thought-provoking, all of it. There's some really great moments throughout the whole of it. I just can't wait. I just really want it to be a live action. If it was a live action, it'd be unbelievable.
I was convinced, a few years back, foolishly, and I don't, because so first off, I'm a massive Invincible fan. I read it, I was behind the curve on it, and I picked up Compendium #1, which is the first, I don't know, 60 issues or something like that. Yeah. And I personally feel Invincible is probably a book that you should read in that format, because it's very long story in terms of, if you read one issue, I don't think you get the proper feeling of the drama and the arcs involved, so I absolutely fell in love with it. So I'm a massive Invincible fan.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I'll just show you one other one, because this is just slightly, this is connected to it, so I probably won't go back to Invincible again. But this is so when I went to, I'm not a big signature fan, and I've never really been that interested in it. And I think it's more because I have to be there to kind of gain it, to feel as though it's part of my collection. But this was something that I got at MegaCon this year, when I actually met Ryan Otley.
Nice.
And it's when he asked, like, would you like the blood splattered signature? I was like, yes, please. And it's just it's one of my favorite things. It really is in my kind of collection. It really stands out amazingly.
It's stunning image as well, isn't it? Just stunning.
Yeah, that's the other option. Yeah. But yeah, Ryan Otley is amazing.
I like the black and white better, actually. I think the black and white stands out more. Yeah, sorry. What I was saying about the live action Invincible, I was sure a few years ago there was a movie came out called Burn Bright or Bright Burn or something about do you remember that?
Yeah, I have heard it, but I didn't see it.
It's basically the story of Superman, but he turns out to be a crazy kid, and you've got this little kid running around lasering people's faces off and stuff like that. It was by James Gunn, I think. I was convinced that was going to turn out to be Omni-Man as a kid landing on Earth, and that we're going to get an Invincible Universe movie. It never happened, unfortunately, because I think it would be amazing. The only downside is a lot of people are now more aware of Invincible, which means you'll miss out on that kind of the shock value at a cinema of the betrayal, shall we say, which is just breathtaking when you read it.
Well, unless it goes into like they are doing in the comic series as a series, I think it's such a long, brilliant story throughout the whole thing. I mean, even the story arc. Well, I don't want to ruin it for that. I'm sure everyone who's on here has read it already, but I also love the story arc of Robot and his Monster Girl. That when they went into the warp, or whatever you want to call it, that was absolutely amazing. Love that bit. And I kind of, but as you said, it's really good to read it 5 or 6 issues in a row, because you really get stuck into it, and it's so easy to read as well.
Well, I blasted through the 3 omnibuses in a month or so because I just couldn't put it down. It was just amazing. Fuzzy is very kindly saying he can send you issue 2 of Rook. Hit Fuzzy Dunlop up over on Instagram. That's very, very good of you, Fuzzy. You're a star.
You're right.
And you saw it out, mate. James, I just remembered Luke's comics were showcased on Sticky Goose. Yeah, you asked Sticky Goose to review your collection, didn't you?
Yeah. He cut out a lot of what I sent to him, and so you might be seeing some of the outtakes today. Okay. But yeah,
good stuff. Dead Man, I've read Compendium 1, but still haven't started number 2. You need to get onto it, mate, because it just gets better and better and better. I think it's an amazing one. Okay, Luke, next question for you. Claim to fame. Now, do you have I've got a picture here to show, Luke. Is this your main claim to fame, or have you got another one you want to talk about before I show this?
I'm really not that. I don't know. I've never really found too many kind of claim to fames in my life, to be honest with you. I haven't been on TV that often.
This one's a pretty big one. This guy's a legend. Look at that, man. Look at that.
Yeah. So this guy, I'm sure a lot of you probably know who this bloke is, but we've got David Hasselhoff here, and I was it was my stag do. One of the things I did for as a kind of a gap year, it turned into 3. I did a ski season, and I went to a place called Saalbach, and it was one of my favorite resorts ever. And when I got engaged, I thought the first thing is I'm only doing a stag do, and I'm only going skiing on a stag do. So we booked a ski trip, the stag do to there you go.
I mean that's quite a look, Luke. I'm not gonna lie, that's an interesting look. But Did you grow your hair specially, or is that a wig? Or
I lost my hair at 22. That is 100% polyester wig, and it was itchy as, especially under a helmet. So I had the pleasure of finding out on my stag do that David Hasselhoff. Oh, right, Sticky Goose. Don't worry.
Nice to see you, bud.
Basil might come along later. Sorry, train of thought. But David Hasselhoff, he was just all of a sudden playing, and we were like, "Wow, we have to go."
Yeah.
And he was, I mean, in Austria and Germany, he is like a saint, absolute saint. And I didn't quite realize this. And some of the sets he was doing in these kind of alpine villages were absolutely hilarious. He was on this crane with like a basket in it, and it was just getting lifted above the crowd, like up and down like this, while he was singing in German. And then he did like a trip. He came down into the crowd and then did a trip around the crowd. And I just randomly got in there and just kind of gave him a hug around. And then he had about 10 bouncers or bodyguards trying to shuffle me out the way. It was quite funny.
You look very happy. You look like you're having a good time.
I was probably 10 beers deep at this stage. But, yeah.
Okay, then I've asked your favourite film. This is a harder question. Question. Favourite Hasselhoff performance?
Oh God. I'm really only a Baywatch person.
Okay. You've never seen Baywatch until you've seen my rendition of his singing on a video I did already. But I'm sorry, mate. But the correct answer is, of course, Knight Rider. How can you miss Knight Rider? I mean,
I've never got into it.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying it's tremendous. I dare say if I was to go back and watch it, it'll be utter shite. Do you know what I mean? But in my little brain, I've got such fond memories of him and Kit.
I think I'm going to have to try and find it somewhere. I can find it on YouTube or Dave or something like that.
We've got Sticky. Nice to see you, Sticky. Thank you for joining. MJ saying Sticky in the house. Fuzzy of the Dunlop. He brought down the Berlin Wall. He ended communism single-handedly. He absolutely did. Yeah. I don't know if he's saying that Hasselhoff is Christ, or if he's saying Christ about us asking best Hasselhoff performance. When he played Michael Knight and his evil twin brother. That was a good one. You're right. Absolutely flawless. The clip of Pete running in that red bikini is etched into my brain. In a good way, I hope, James. In a good way. Yeah. Okay, Luke. Show us something else from your collection, bud.
Right. So I'm going to show probably a few of my, should we say, better Jim book, so kind of some of my journey into mystery run, which I was kind of working through. So I've got a lovely
Journey
103.
Nice. That's a nice copy as well.
It is. The only issue, wrong side, is it got a cross here. And that's,
is that wax crayon? Because you can remove that. If it's the old wax pencils they used to use in newsagents, you can. I can't remember what it is, but you can remove it.
I don't know. Oh, good. Hey, if it is, yes, That I mean, it's a beautiful copy. I got that I got that actually at MegaCon this year.
Nice. And
Um,
that's key because it's first Enchantress and first Executioner, isn't it?
correct. Yes.
Nice
Um,
book.
I also have, and this is another lovely book, stunning. To be fair, I mean, it's yeah, really, really nice.
That's beautiful condition. That almost looks like a reprint. It's stunning.
I know it is,
Yeah.
isn't it? And the corners are super straight and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I've one of the things which I've started to realize in comic book collecting, and I did have, did I put? Yeah, I did. I brought something. Brought something down there, which I really wanted to kind of share, which is this, right? 7.5 Spawn. Don't worry, it's terrible. But I in the comic boom, should we say? You know, what was that? 21 or 20? Mm-hmm. I thought, oh yeah, I really wanted to Spawn 1, and that I wasn't really that knowledgeable of like grading and all that kind of stuff. And I was on eBay, and it was 40 quid, and I was like, oh, just buy it. Yeah, sure, take it. Yeah. And now it's now just at like the back of my collection, and it's just kind of out of the way. And I thought, you know what, it's not really doing anything. I'd rather just have a nice copy or you know, an actual, a raw copy of it. Yeah. And I tried to sell it, and I couldn't give it away. And it's amazing, really. But I always have that as my kind of, have that staring at me to realize, don't chase anything, or don't try and go too down.
Rush in.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I'm kind of on, and that's a little bit why I only really collect Thor books and Thor comics, is because I just want to get the nice ones, or Invincible. I only really want to get the nice stuff. Yeah. And I have a bit of a plan where I only really focus on those kind of things. And I don't mind taking my time.
Yeah.
I don't mind taking my time with it.
I think that's the key, you know, particularly when you're collecting backwards, because those Thor books, if you're looking at the early gyms, anything up to really issue 100 in the old gyms is going to be a pricey book. So you have got to take your time and not rush in. And, you know, if you're wanting the nicer quality, you're going to have to save up for a little while to get the big key books, you know.
Absolutely.
I know on your Instagram picture, and you may show it off later on, I don't know, but you've got one of the early gym keys that I consider a key that I've had my eye on for a long time because I don't have in my collection. And I think you've got it at a good grade as well. So I'm a little bit jealous of that one, but we'll maybe touch on that later on. Okay, are you ready for another question? I think you've frozen. You've either frozen or you're giving us a really bad stare. Bear with chaps as Luke tries to reconnect potentially, or he's just disappeared. I think he'll come back on in a second. Anyway, as soon as Luke comes back on, we'll continue chatting with him. Dead Man saying, I thought that was only suitable for over 75's audience. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. It's a bit horrific. It's a bit horrific. Just to keep you up to speed with what we've got coming out on the channel. We've got Canadian Survivors. Nice to see you, bud. I hope you are well. Just to let you know what we've got coming up on the channel. Tonight I've put out my Wolverine review for Wolverine Origins, so that has just gone out, so please do go check that out. And then on Thursday night I'm going to rush off to see Deadpool 3, and we'll be doing a review of that straight after, so there'll be a review coming up straight away. Deadpool 3, interested to know what you guys are thinking in terms of spoilers, because I've been quite pissed off this week. I said I didn't want to see any spoilers. I thought I was safe by blocking and not looking at all the usual YouTube malarkey and stuff like that. And then didn't the buggers at Hot Toys put out a new figure, and they've got the head sculpt and a few different images, shall we say, of some spoilers from the upcoming movie. So I was pretty irritated with that. What do you think in the chat about spoilers at the moment? Do you think we're seeing too much? Do you think we're seeing too much in the trailers and things? Is there any surprises in movies anymore? Because it's starting to stress me out a little bit. I'm probably going to try and stop watching as many trailers as I can. Now I'll talk about my live shows then. We've got Fuzzy saying King Spawn movie in the works. Yeah, I saw that. It's a bit of a strange that one, Fuzzy, I think, considering, we've been talking about a Spawn movie for a long time, and now they're going to bang a King Spawn movie up before we get the kind of the relaunch of Spawn. Just feels a little bit odd to me. But who knows? We'll see what we get. Dead Man. Give us a song, Peter. No, mate, absolutely not. MJ, I'm seeing it at midnight tonight. Crikey. So you're off out to see it later on tonight. That'll be a good one, MJ. You'll have to message us in the morning. Don't give us spoilers, because I'm not seeing it until 5 o'clock, I think it is. So yeah, you'll have to let us know at 5 how it went. All right, Luke, don't worry, we're just catching up with the chat. No problem. I clicked on your story, Peter. I shouldn't. Yeah, so the image on my story doesn't do the spoilers, mate, but there's some the Hot Toys put some spoilers out, which really cheesed us off, I have to say. Ryan Reynolds and Jimmy Fallon saying he can't believe there hasn't been any big spoilers yet. That's good to hear, because I kind of thought we'd seen a lot of stuff already. I can't get to see it until next week, so spoilers are going to be inevitable for me, unfortunately. That's a shame, bud. Yeah, I mean, you're going to have no hope, really, I'm afraid to say. I got really cheesed off with Multiverse of Madness because people were putting pictures of the Illuminati on the kind of the images straight away, so you couldn't not see it, which was pretty crap, and that was before the film came out. Fuzzy, we don't need 3 trailers for a film these days. The week of the movie's release is always the worst. I completely agree. And we've got Phil here. Nice to see you, Phil. I hate spoilers. Seeing it tomorrow because I expect plenty of cameos and I want to see them in cinema, not on Instagram. I'm exactly the same, Phil. That's why I'm leaving work early so I can get to see it early afternoon, because you just know it's going to be spoiled to high heaven. By the time I see it on DVD, I won't remember. True enough. Right, Luke, I think we're about to see something else in your collection, I think, weren't we?
You can do indeed, and we can probably follow down the route of continue with the gym stuff. So here's another.
I've not seen that cover before. What issue is that?
111.
Nice.
Oh, go that way. Yeah. The problem I have is I only really want to put everything in Mylar. Yeah. Which then makes everything obviously terrible to photograph or terrible to video. So, but that's another classic. And then this is another. I mean, all of these are unbelievable covers, aren't they? They are absolute classics. So yeah, beautiful covers.
Stunning. Again, the colours on that one are popping, considering the age of the book.
And this is probably the best of them all in terms of like quality, I would say. Yeah. But it's just, when I saw it, I picked this actually up at MegaCon, and I was kind of gobsmacked by how good it was. Yeah. I mean, it's unreal
it's just
quality,
isn't it? It's the reds and the blues on Thor that are just standing out beautifully.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you want you ready to see the next one, which is completely opposite to all of this, right?
Yeah.
So I picked this up at I think a Comic Mart in London, and it was my first Comic Mart I think I'd ever gone to, and I found this, and it is in horrendous condition, like spine split everywhere, browner than brown, toilet paper brown, kind of brown, and wearing a lot of the time. I'm amazed it's still kind of holding on, really. And I found it at just in the in the bins, and I thought, oh my God, what's this doing here? And it was around the time when Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was being released. And so I thought, God, what have they done? Why have they not put it on the wall, or they've forgotten about something? And I looked at the price, and it was £10.
Wow,
£10, and I was like, even if it is in horrendous condition or really bad condition,
worth it for a £10. And to be fair, we do become obsessive about quality, which is fair enough. But the age on that book, what's that? Early 70s, late 60s, maybe?
Late 60s, yeah.
Yeah. So it's got a canny bit of life in it. So you kind of expect it to be a bit rough at times. We've got Dr. Von Hoot in the chat. Nice to see you, Von Hoot. And please do make sure you check out Von Hoot's Saturday night show, 9 o'clock every Saturday. Always a good laugh. So please check that one out. Deadman, it's great to have one or two targets. You can be selective, beautiful books, and then you show that one. But for a tenner, yeah, it's doable. It's fine. I'm becoming attracted to Thor covers. I need to lie down. See, Fuzzy will convert you, mate. By the end of the show, you'll be converted. Can we even get Milo bags here without paying silly money? That's a good question, Phil. Where do you get your supplies, Luke?
So I bought mine in Orlando, actually. So whenever I go to Orlando, I buy probably 100 to 150. Yeah. So, but I have found them on Facebook, and there's a couple of guys who have them, but mainly in Golden Age type, Golden Age format. And I think I bought 100 off somebody, 100 off somebody for very, very cheap, like less than 20 quid for 100, and they were in very good condition as well.
There's no denying that if you want your comics to be displayed and looking nice, Mylar is, you don't get much better than Mylar. They're just I don't know, they just jump out. Okay, bud. Next question. Favorite hero and why?
Favorite hero. Could say Sharp.
Sharpie. Yeah,
good. Yeah. But I'd probably go down the route of it's got to be either like Battle Beast or Thor.
Okay.
And I don't know why. I just they're very similar because I kind of like that almost Norse mentality of kind of war-ish, really love a fight, but really really brave in their attitudes towards stuff, and it's kind of like slightly gung-ho to it. But
they've also got that kind of nobility about them as well. Do you know what I mean? The honor side of things.
Yeah, completely.
Fuzzy saying, go on, say Odin as a swerve. Von Hoot. Oh, God. Von Hoot's a massive Neighbours fan. Harold Bishop. Jesus God almighty. So just talking Thor then, because I am a huge Thor fan, and I know you are as well. I've read a lot of Thor over the years. Who's your favourite version of Thor? Because mine's, I have to say, Eric. I like Thunderstrike.
Oh, really?
He's one of my favourites.
So I've actually been reading. I've been recently just been reading the omnibus, the first one, the first series. And it's great. Absolutely love it. And there's some really hilarious, like slightly tongue-in-cheek moments with it, with the writing. Like one of them, I think is it Tomorrow Man keeps. Oh no, it's Zaro, and he keeps on calling it the C bomb.
Right.
And every single time I read it, I just kind of laugh. And there's just these little things in there which I just absolutely love. I really enjoy that the first series, the first kind of introduction to things.
And that's interesting in itself, isn't it? Because quite often when we go back and read some of the early Marvel stuff, it doesn't stand up very well. But actually, Thor is pretty darn good, consistently good.
Yeah, and I actually, when I first started collecting, I think I started reading. I all of a sudden started reading at, I think I started reading at 127, and I just picked it up 127. Read the first two, and I kind of couldn't get into it, and I was like, oh no, what have I done? I bought like 50 of them, and I can't read them. So I kind of stopped and slowed it down and still kept buying because I kind of went through that kind of collecting mentality. But then went into some of the omnibus style stuff. And actually that's when I started at the beginning, because I really like starting at the beginning of things so that I can kind of work my way through and almost build up a picture in my head of what happens and all of that kind of stuff. Like even the story around like Donald Blake and how when you see the when you see the films, Thor is just Thor.
Yeah,
that's it. Whereas actually, it starts with Donald Blake, and a lot of that kind of early stuff is all about Donald Blake just being in love with Jane Foster, and how he's just kind of trying to deal with fighting, baddies, and then kind of going, oh, Odin doesn't want Jane Foster to be, or I can't admit to Jane Foster, or Jane Foster doesn't know anything about it, and that kind of stuff I just really love, and it's a really great story for me. So I'd have to probably answer with that. I do love the Beta Ray Bill saga, should we call it? I do really enjoy that. And I think because they're quite similar to each other in terms of Thor and Beta Ray Bill, I've really quite enjoyed those two. But
you've put some images on Instagram lately of the Thor corpse, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Is it Dargo, the future Thor? I think. Yeah, I enjoyed that character as well. So yeah, some great books out there. Some great books. Phil is saying perfect time to play a clip of your Thor cosplay. No, nobody wants to see that. Deadman saying don't encourage him. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that video, but I did a show where we had to talk about Thor 2 and I had to justify why it was good. So I sang why Thor was good in the tune of Gummy Bears in my Thor costume. So that was quite interesting. Okay, next question for you, Luke, and this is an interesting one. What pisses you off? What pushes your buttons and pushes you over the edge a little bit? What irritates you?
I've got a really terrible thing. I've got a terrible lack of patience, unfortunately. And so whenever I kind of do anything, I kind of almost want it to happen instantly. And even when it comes down to comic books, it's like I see something, I want to go and buy it straight away. And I have to kind of really work hard. And the only way I do that is kind of by building a plan and kind of go, right, well, if I can't do it straight away, what can I do to build up to it, or kind of build a plan towards it? So I think a lot of things wind me up, and actually normally it's the really small things. And that's why I have to try and build a picture in my head to kind of build it as it's a bigger thing. It's, there's something more important at the end of it all. And I think if I can kind of rationalize it like that, then it makes things a lot easier. Whereas, even something as simple as, I don't know, the next door neighbors, parked somewhere where they shouldn't do. I get really irritated at that, even though it's something completely useless. It's just a lot of those kind of really, really tiny things. Even at work, some people kind of tell me, go, oh, you've always got the bigger picture on lots of stuff. But actually, these tiny little things that really irritate you. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I'm really petty like that.
It's like Chinese water torture, isn't it? The little things just chip away and gradually lead to an explosion in some regards, So yeah, absolutely. Good one. Show was something else, Luke. What else have you got to show?
So I will show, as we were talking about a bit of Beta Ray Bill. I have to go get that out. I do want this as a 9.8 at some stage. I've got 3 rolls of the direct edition, but that was the kind of newsstand, so I kind of really want to have both of those.
That's a beautiful book.
Yeah, and I mean it is really. I show you something which is, these are a few things which are probably a bit more, let's say, personable, but so I like to actually I have to show you this because I absolutely love these. Check these out. Check this out.
I love that. Yeah. So I've got that as well, and it's just an amazing piece of artwork. Absolutely love it. Stunning. Just hold that one up again for people, Luke, just so they can drink it in. It's just amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And all the internal artwork is unreal. It's amazing. And I actually really love this format. This kind of bigger format, magazine format. And I got a Star-Lord, is completely random, but I got a Star-Lord, and now because I'm going into this world of finishing things, I now have to buy all of the Marvel preview. Luckily, there's only about 15 or 16.
Yeah.
But that's just one I wanted to share.
The artwork on those is amazing.
Yeah. Right. So would you do could do a little bit of a quiz here. I'm going to show you this one.
Yeah.
What do we think this is a first appearance of?
Do you want me to tell you? That's first Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
It is indeed. Yeah. So my wife is obsessed with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and she probably will watch it back to back, series, and then get another one, and then watch it, and just continuously watch it. And so, as I was kind of collecting comics, I kind of had to start buying these things to almost connect it with it as well. So I wanted to kind of buy them for my wife, and so I've kind of all of a sudden got almost a full run of Buffy. Yeah. And a first appearance. I think I've got 2 of these now. A really nice one and not so nice one.
Incredible. I mean, I'm a massive Buffy fan. Little treat for your wife. Have you taken her to see the one-man Buffy the Vampire show?
No.
Superb. I went maybe 3 months ago. I haven't done a video on it yet. Is it called Buffy Uncovered or Buffy something? I can't remember. I'll send you the link because he tours. But it's a guy he's done the same with Friends, but he basically goes through the entire story of Buffy the Vampire Slayer as a one-man show, and it's hilarious. And he plays all the characters and stuff. Great night out. So I'll send you the link for that because it's a great one.
Yeah. Okay, another bit of quiz, right? And actually, maybe if Sticky Goose is still in the chat, I wonder if he knows it based on his comment earlier.
I don't think he is. I don't think he's in the chat anymore.
So
I don't know that one.
Okay. This is a bit of a random one. So reason why I said Sticky Goose earlier was because on the videos which I sent to him, I sent some of my dog.
Right.
And my dog is a basset hound. And this is the first appearance of Bats. Yeah. So I haven't actually got the second one, which is when he dies, but this is the first appearance of Bats, and then this is the second one. But these are the kind of things which I kind of start to collect because they're almost, I don't know, slightly connected to my life in weird ways. So those are probably a couple of other ones which I'd share.
Very cool. I like them. Yeah. And Bats has become quite a big character in the Doctor Strange books. The ghost of him. Yeah. He's in fact, he's just saved Doctor Strange. I'll not spoil it, but it's all linked to the whole what do you call it? Blood Rain, Blood Moon. Someone in the chat will tell us whatever the latest mini series is. Perfect day, Luke. What would be a perfect day for you? What would be your perfect day?
Interesting. So I kind of touched on my love for skiing earlier. I mean, my kind of perfect day, and actually I'm probably going to reenact it soon, is I literally just booked a skiing holiday the other day for me and my family. And, I love being in the mountains. It's kind of one of my favorite things to do. So I'm really excited to kind of take my son for his first ski holidays and actually skiing. So and it's back to our kind of favorite place in Austria called Saalbach. So that's kind of, it's probably one of my passions. It's either that. I mean, I've got pretty much 3. I've got cricket, I've got skiing, and then I've got comics, and that's kind of that is me. So if I could almost somehow amalgamate them all together over a day, but I've got a summer thing and then a winter thing, so it'd probably be quite difficult. But those are my things.
I've never done skiing. I don't think I'm built for skiing. I think I'm the wrong shape.
Anyone can do it.
Fuzzy saying a new Ultimate Doctor Strange title is starting soon. Very cool. Not seen that one, Fuzzy. Leon, it's another live from Santa's Grotto. Well, if you like that, this will really impress you. I'm looking at it from my mold. Has a Sheffield 1-bedroom and weeping bitter tears of jealousy again. Bless you, Leon. Don't worry about it. And Fuzzy saying, have a cuppa. You'll be all right. Yeah. Okay, mate. Last thing to show. What else have you got to show?
Well, one of the things. So when I when I when I've been going to Orlando, one of the things that kind of got me into YouTube actually was I was starting to collect comic books, and I was on Facebook, and you're kind of joining the Facebook groups, and I thought, and I was talking to my wife, and she was like, "Oh, well, why don't you have a look on YouTube?" Because I use, she uses YouTube for a few different kind of things and learns and stuff, and actually it's kind of almost a hobby environment where people share stuff. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a go, and I just kind of typed in comic books and comic stuff, and the usuals came up, like Comic Tom. That's the kind of the first thing I started to read, watch, and I used to love. I actually really enjoyed the long chats they used to do, but actually these top tens I got a bit bored with, so I don't actually watch them at all. And then another channel kind of came up at the time called the Comics Den, and I absolutely loved it. And because I really enjoyed how they filmed, where they went to, almost kind of this world in Florida where everyone's got comic books, it seems, and there's always a comic book event constantly, and they can always just go around to somebody's house and there's 10,000 comic books so they can just go and find, and you're like, what on earth's going on here? But one of the things that they go to is this thing called the Comic Connection, I think it's called. And it's basically this guy in the middle of nowhere who kind of has these tent sales. And we went to Orlando for a family holiday, and all of a sudden on Facebook, it appeared that, because I followed this Comic Connection, they were like, "Oh well, this event is happening on Friday," and we were landing Thursday night, so into Tampa, and it was kind of, but not really on the way. It was kind of like that, and my wife was like, "Do you want to go to it?" I was like, "Yes, obviously." So I went along to it, and there wasn't a lot of Thor, which I was a bit annoyed about. But one of the things that they did have, and was this, which is and it was on my list anyway. But and I've kept the sticker, this little Comic Connection sticker. It's quite iconic to the guy who does it all. But I absolutely love this book, and actually reading through it as well. Even as I haven't read the ones before this or actually after it. I just read this individual book, and it was so good. It was such a good little book, and how with Captain America and the reveal.
Is this? Yeah, this is the book where Cap holds Mjolnir, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's a great book, and it's a great,
fantastic cover as well.
Yeah, Thor doesn't disappoint on covers. Always. So that's one. And then I will show, just before finishing. I always have to show a bit of Jim Annual, don't we?
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, classic.
Apparently, we're going to get an announcement at San Diego Comic-Con. Thor: The Legend of Hercules is what's being touted.
Do hope so.
Yeah.
Do hope so. And then I think, just to finish on, then, I mean, we have to finish on my kind of biggest book, really. I mean, I don't have should we call it the monsters? The big two of 83 and 84 yet. 83 and 85 yet. But I do have 84. And I was really wanting to just make sure I had a nice copy for it. Yeah. So actually, when I was at MegaCon, there was some like 2.5s and 3s, and they were just a bit beaten up for me. And because this isn't, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still expensive, but because it's not, super, it's not into the thousands quite yet. I kind of really wanted to get it as high a grade as I could, because I wanted to keep it for as long as I could. And it was in that kind of range, which I was really happy with. And it's just a great book. I have to say, this is probably the only story that I'm not as much a fan of. Yeah. Whereas 85 is a great book. 86 is amazing. and 87 is another classic. So this is probably the only one which I've read probably 3 to 5 times. Like each time I'm like, yeah, it's okay.
It's all right. So just for the people at home, Luke, so I obviously know the relevance of that book, but just show it off again, please. Let people know whose first appearance that one is.
So this is the first appearance of the Executioner, but also the first appearance of Jane Foster.
Yeah. Beautiful book. Beautiful book.
And actually, it's probably quite a nice shot. You can just see just behind, you can see What If Thor, and then also the other Jane Foster, which is quite nice. And I really want this in a 9/8. I really want that in a 9/8.
I love the cover as well.
Yeah, it's classic.
So just before we end, did you like her appearance in the last Thor movie?
Yes, I thought she was fine in many ways, but that Thor film. There's so many parts of it which I was like, this could be amazing. And even Gore in it was almost amazing, was almost really good. And there was some really quite scary bits in it, which they could have gone a bit harder at. And I think that's the bit for me where it could have been so much better. If they just cut out a little bit of too much of the fluffiness, should we say? Absolutely. Then I think it would have been a good one.
I agree. I think the lent far too much on the kind of the ad hoc comedy silliness for me. It didn't fit with what I think the character of Thor is. For me personally, I struggled with it, And by the time we got to the kind of the pantheon of the gods, and we had the bloody, what is it, the bun thing god, it was like, come on.
Yeah, the bell bun.
What are we doing? Yeah, what are we doing here?
Yeah, and even Russell Crowe. I'm really sorry. I've got a lot of time for Russell Crowe in so many films, but in that he was atrocious.
Yeah,
I have to. It was just awful. So
offensive, borderline offensive.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, every time I'll happily watch that film. I'll watch it probably once every 6 months, and each time I watch it, I go, "Oh God, it could have been so much better."
But as Fuzzy says, they had Christian Bale. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. They had Christian, and to be fair, his performance is pretty damn good. Yeah. But just wasted. Okay, but the last question for you, and this can be about anything you want, so it can be about comics, life, whatever. What advice would you give to the people who are watching? Like I say, it can be about life advice, it can be about collecting Thor, it can be whatever you want. What advice would you pass on?
The only thing I would say is stick to a plan. I mean, always love your loved ones. Treat everyone with respect. But for me, it's always about, what create a plan that you can work towards. Doesn't matter what it is in life. Have a goal. Try and achieve something and really work towards it. And you can measure it quite easily, to be honest with you, on a lot of these things. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing where I am, with comics, that's what I really enjoy. I really enjoy that, a goal to work towards. But it doesn't have to be finished tomorrow. It can be done in 6 months, a year, 10 years. It doesn't matter. And actually, that's how you kind of, you go through the process of it all, and you kind of work through it. So I think for me, it's all about always having a goal and working towards something.
I really get envious of people like yourself and MJ Comics in the chat here, because I know he's done this as well, in terms of when you select a book that you want, you kind of quite, like you say, you've got that plan, you've got the goal, and you're quite focused towards it. Whereas I have that in mind, but I see shiny stuff all of a sudden the plan goes out the window. Do you know what I mean? And that's for another day. I just need what I need now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say that I probably learnt that because I got, and I probably, when I was starting to do a bit too much speculation, but I was luckily only speculating on very cheap things,
Yeah.
under £10, that kind of stuff. And I'd probably buy 3 or 4 of them. But I wouldn't be speculating on anything big. And then I realized it never works. For me, I was just not very good at it. So it was actually like, just, do things that you really enjoy and have a plan for it and work towards it. And actually it's really nice and rewarding, and it can slow you down a bit, but at least then actually when you get to it, you're like, wow, that was really, I'm really happy I got there.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Okay, we're coming to the end of the show here. Fuzzy is just saying he's just subbed to your IG. Just remind people where they can find you, Luke.
Yeah, so at the moment I'm only on Instagram. So I do share a lot of Thor covers and some kind of different things about Thor. I do sometimes have some Invincible stuff, which I will be sharing a bit more, and some kind of other random books which I have. I want to commit to myself to do at least 3 to 4 posts a week, and that's kind of my, should we say, goal, and really kind of commit to those. But my kind of one of my also longer term goals is I really want to educate people about Thor, and so that's kind of my longer term thing. It's probably not going to happen tomorrow. It's probably going to happen a lot longer time, but that's what I want to work towards.
Well, that's brilliant, mate. And what I would say to you is that I am, as we've said repeatedly throughout the show, I'm a massive Thor fan, and I don't really have any of my YouTube colleagues who are big into Thor. So if you're up for it at some point, it would be great to do either a live show or a video where we'll perhaps each bring 3 of our favourite Thor books and talk about the relevance of the book and why we like it and that kind of stuff. We could do some Thor-based content, I'm sure, if you're up for that in the future.
Lovely.
Leon is just saying, I come up with a plan to buy something special and spend the next month talking myself out of it. Yeah, absolutely, bud. Luke, that has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Really enjoyed talking to a fellow collector and lover of all things comics. Interestingly, you've ticked 2 of my favourite subjects there, Thor and Invincible. So that's been a pleasure for me to listen to. So thank you for that. Just going to quickly rattle through a few things that are happening on the channel over the next few days. Got a whole host of videos out there for you, ladies and gents. You know where I am. You know where to find all that stuff. Tonight, we've put out our I Can View This All Day, which is on X-Men Origins. Wolverine, myself and James watched that recently and have reviewed it. So that's live now. Interestingly, not as bad as I thought it was. I kind of built this one in my head as being absolute dog shit. But it was an all right watch, actually. So yeah, so check that out. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, going to see Deadpool 3 early afternoon. So myself and James will be recording and then putting out a video later tomorrow night. So that'll be a spoiler-filled review of Deadpool 3. So go and check that out. And that's your whack. Thank you very much. Luke, massive thank you to you. Huge thank you to everybody in the chat. Fuzzy, thank you so much, bud. Nice of you to join as usual. And everybody else, you guys are amazing. Cannot thank you. Not great though, is it? It's not bad, Von Hoot. It's not bad. Go back and rewatch it. Dead Man seemed very enjoyable. Thank you, bud. Fuzzy, you'll DM you the Rook. It's all yours if you want it. That's really kind of you, Fuzzy. Thank you for doing that, mate. On Fuzzy, you must drop me a message, mate, because I was going through my boxes and I found that the other day. Didn't I say I think it was you I said I would send that to. So remind us, Fuzzy, if it was you that wanted it, let us know and I'll send it to you, mate.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Good stuff. Leon, great show, lads. Thanks. And hey, all right, Fuzzy. The cup of work wonders. Always a pleasure. Don't forget, check out Von Hoot's show, 10 o'clock on Saturday. I'll not be able to join this week, Von Hoot, because I'm away with my wife for our anniversary. But I hope you have a great show, mate. And James, nice of you to join again, bud. Always a pleasure. Right, Fuzzy, I'll send you that, mate. Drop us a message and reminders, and I'll put something together and send you a few more books. He's been watching the postman for books. You know what my brain's like, Fuzzy, man. I forget. Okay. That's your whack. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Luke. It's been a pleasure. Thanks to everybody that's watching. And we'll catch you all next time. So take care, everybody. Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.